So a friend of mine owns a bar. Was making some mojitos, and he had a muddler that he was using, and he was bitching because the muddler was too far down in the cup, and he wanted a longer muddler and couldn't find him. So he asked me if I'd make some for him. And I said, well, I'll try. So pieces of, I think they're pear, all right? I'm pretty sure they're pear. It was kind of pretty, all right? And it's firewood. So this is my Monster Mojito Muddler. Now that I've got it nice roughed in and sort of where I want it, I'll put my storyboard on here. And I've got a 1-inch mark, a 5.5-inch mark, and another 5.5-inch mark. Okay, so that marks really what I want. This is going to be the mash end. This is going to go this way down, and that's going to go that way down. And then this is going to round over on the end, and that's going to form the actual muddler. All right, turn this down. Let's come in here and put a mark on everything, so I know about where it is. Really nothing mystical or magical about this, to be honest with you. Up around 2. I like to turn the speed of the light, and the light's not vibrating, so I could actually go faster, but 2 makes me feel comfortable. Let's mark the center. Just a little bit, not much. That's going to be about my depth that I want to get things to. And this is, I'm going to leave that alone because I think I've got that perfect. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's a negative rake scraper because you turn this down right here. All right, that's about 35. This is about 60, and that gives me a negative rake scraper. And I'm finding that is very, very, very advantageous. I've only used it on my small 1/2-inch sorbet, but I'm starting to like it. The only problem with this one is you do have to go back and touch it lightly to get the burr up, because it takes the burr off rather quickly. But it leaves a very nice finish. You don't have to do a whole lot after that. I kind of like that. So now what I did is I just moved my tool rest this way, and I put a slight angle into it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this piece in this way. This is going to be a valley and back up to here. And this is going to be the end of my muddler. So I'm just really going to kind of work my way to there, and I'll probably leave that for when I get to put my end onto it. So that's what it looks like. It's not bad. It's close. But what I have a tendency to do when I do that is I grab a piece of sandpaper and I go ahead and sand it. This is 120. I don't slow it. I'm really just trying to get a little rough in there. It's pretty much the way I want it. I want to do a little more sanding down here, but only after I put a little tenon or a little round piece over here. All right, let's go put an end on it. You can take a lot of this material away. I'm almost finished with it. So that's going to be where the end is. So I really just want to cove. I'm just doing cove. That's really all I'm doing. Practicing cutting a cove. Just going to waste it out the way. where I put my maker's mark. So, pretty good. I can smooth that a little bit. Stand it out some. And I start to work from here. Through the grits. And as you can see, I think I've got myself the workings of a good muddler. I use this as about a little over an inch at the end of it, but some people like smaller. But this is a big muddler. So I like to decorate a little bit more, so I'm going to put a few rings on here to give it a little bit of character. So I like to darken them up a little bit, so I use this little dealie here. You can make them. I picked this one up at Airmont, but all it is a piece of wire in between it, but it's very important you do it that way so you don't wrap around your fingers. And we come around underneath here. Alright, so now it's ready for the finish. Cleaned it off a little bit, got the dust off of it, wiped it down. I want to use CA. I think that's pretty food safe because they use it to seal your body up. And so I'm going to CA this part of it. I'm not going to CA down there because I got to put some stuff in there, but I want to put it in there. And this is really just to give it some a little bit of protection moisture-wise so it doesn't swell, just to seal it up basically. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's food safe, even though there's been some debates. But I know it won't harm you because they use it to seal your body. I use it when I make a cut on my fingers. And it's pretty easy to put on. You just rub it on a little bit. And then we let it dry. And that's really what the process is. And I put 3 or 4 coats on, and then I might come back with a 12 and lightly hit it with a 12 to just smooth it out if I need to. If not, I'll let it go the way it is. Okay, put a little something down here in case I drop it. Hopefully I won't. Bring the speed up and part it off. There we go. Popped right off. It's not bad. And that'll be my muddler, at least the stick part of it anyway. Right, so now that I've got the basic shape turned in the lathe, the last step is really to put this pattern in the end so that when you crush it, it'll crush, allow things to run out. This one I did on my CNC machine, and obviously it did pretty good, and I could do the rest of them on there. But I also wanted to include a way to do it if you didn't have a CNC machine. And you can see here there's a pattern that I did. The matter of fact, if you looked at the original prototype that I made, and this was my prototype, I glued the piece together, and actually then I glued it on and then turned this piece on the piece and got the pattern together. But that proved to be a little bit more complex, and I'm not sure if that end's going to hold up under heavy pushing, so the prototype stays with me. And what I came up with is this setup right here, and this is complete. But now I got to do the other ones, so I'm going to try and do it manually. So this is how I think I can do it manually. What I did is I laid out a grid on a piece of 2x4, and then put a circle on it which represents the end of all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and put knife walls in here across this one, and then I'm going to come back with my saw and take my saw and then come back and cut a pattern in there, and then bore a hole through it, mount in my muddler, screws it down, and then come back and then transfer the cuts into the muddler, and then maybe do a little carving to it, and that should give me the same effect that I had on the CNC. So all I'm really doing to start with is to give me a knife wall so I have something to follow, and it comes out fairly clean. And I'm only doing the areas where I need to cut across the circle in the middle, and that'll give me a pattern to follow, hopefully, when I saw this out. This is a seller's technique for cutting. You score it with your knife first, and then when you go to do your saw, it's a little more precision. All right, so I've mounted it in the board. I ended up having to split the board down the middle to get a little pressure on it so I would receive it. I can actually grab it up underneath and kind of roll it around and grab it. But really, what the cross sections are doing are sort of like a miter. And you're just trying to get it started to use it to follow. All right, so I've just done a little bit of cleaning and carving to try and get those grooves down, sort of like this has got some way bigger ends than I do. I don't know what they call it, but I did end up having to make a little holder for it, which helped a lot. And then I took some sandpaper like this, and I really just tried to clean up the grooves a little bit there to make them look okay. Oops, hit that one. And I think that's gonna do. I think that's gonna be as good as I wanna get it. So this you wanna mount onto a piece of wood. Solid is there. What I really wanna do is make sure it's level all the way around. Because if it's not, the problem is when the CNC machine cuts across it, it's not going to cut level. So that's the success to making it good. Flat on the bottom square, and then where it goes. All right, so let's try the machine. So here's the finished product. My prototype to the left, and the original mojito to the right, and my 3 in the middle that were made off the lathe, and one was hand done and the others had some CNC work done to it. Turned out to be a pretty fun project.